Hi, this is Sophia Boswell, and I want to talk about the one-to-one sessions that I do on healing the eating habit. I also want to talk a little bit about this lovely little book, Simply Full. It's available from Lulu Online Publishing, which is LULU Online Publishing in the UK and in the US, and this one's also available on Amazon. So this is great just to pop into your handbag, carry with you, leave by your nightstand, and just dip into when you feel you need a little bit of inspiration. It's purposely small, it's purposely condensed. It's got all the information in there that you need to remind you of what you need to do to heal your eating habit. And when you think of it, eating habits have caused you to gain the excess weight, has caused you to be unable to lose the excess weight. So if that's been your story, if the diets haven't worked, you think, well, what on earth is going to work when I've tried dieting for like 5 years, which was my own personal experience, and I still had a weight problem and I still had an obsession with food, size and shape. So I was really wondering what the answer was when I evolved and discovered this method. So yes, this is a very good little book, Simply Full. It can guide you as to what is the alternative to the diet sheet, quite frankly. So I want to talk a little bit about what you can expect if you have a one-to-one session with me. I do one-to-one sessions at £45 for an hour, and I do them via Skype. And I recommend that people have them once a week, once a fortnight to begin with. And then as they have the information under the belt and they have a little bit of experience of putting the information into practice, that they find that they need my input less. So once a month is often enough after a while, after about 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on the person. So you very much judge it yourself how much you need my input. The main guidelines, if you like, that we start off with are eating when physically hungry and stopping when physically full. The second guideline is pinpointing and resolving the emotional issues that can cause you to eat when full. And the third guideline is self-acceptance, why and how to raise your self-acceptance. So in the first few sessions, I would say 3 to 5 sessions, you're going to have a lot of questions of, okay, how come this works? How come that, which seems to be contrary to every diet mentality concept I've ever heard? How does that work then if it's contrary to the diet mentality? How come diets never worked for me, and what is the alternative? So there's a lot of questions in the beginning. Can actually eating when hungry and stopping when full allow my body to lose excess weight and then maintain that weight loss? How come that works? So there's a lot of questions that we work through in the first few sessions. So once we have the method, the theory, if you like, in place, then it's the putting into practice. It's in between sessions. You'll be putting into practice eating when hungry and stopping when full. You'll be putting into practice this skill of pinpointing and then resolving the emotional issue that might have been behind an urge to eat when full on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., for example. And then Friday morning at 10 p.m., you have another urge to eat when full. And as you try and find out what that emotional stuff is behind that craving, you realize it's a completely different emotional issue, and then how to deal with that. So often we talk through, hey, I was stressed out at work on Tuesday morning, and I couldn't avoid eating when full. I had to eat when full. And yet in the evening, I was able to resolve the emotional stuff more easily. It was a different issue. So how come some issues are more easy to resolve and some issues are absolutely impossible to resolve, and we just don't feel like we can we can avoid eating when full. So in the beginning stages, there is some eating when full going on. You're learning to kick a habit. You're learning to give up an addiction, and it can't be done in one fell swoop. It just can't. That's impossible. So don't ever expect that of yourself. It is done little bit by little bit. So 1 week, 75% of the time you'll be eating when hungry and stopping when full, but there'll be 25% of the time that the old habits still reign supreme, if you like, and there's still that overindulgence, that overeating, that eating when full. So it takes a bit of time to find out, well, what's that 25% about, and how else can you heal that? How else can you deal with that so that you're not turning to food when full, or swapping your addictions for that matter? We do go through that. As I coach people in recovering from eating when full and learning how to stop when full, I also remind them to be aware, are there any cravings for something else? You may not have so much cravings for eating when full, or you may be able to deal with the cravings to eat when full, but you find you have a craving for a glass of wine, or you find you have a craving for a cigarette, or you find you have a craving to just zone out and watch like 3 hours nonstop of some television program you're not really that interested in. So we do have to be aware of other distractions, other numbing tactics, if you like, rather than feeling and healing tactics, which is what I teach. So there's a lot there, and obviously you need to be coached through it. And there's a lot of unknown information, a lot of little known information. I will recommend you books that aided my initial recovery. Fat is a Feminist Issue being the main one. When I discovered that book, I put into practice what it taught, and I took on board its ideas and its concepts. They really made sense to me, and that, along with other books on yoga, meditation, vegetarianism, positive thinking, they all combined together to really facilitate my healing and my ability to give up eating when full. So I was able to establish and maintain my own natural weight and not have an obsession with food size and shape ever again. And I was able to deal with my emotional issues rather than suppress them through eating when full. So this method, it's not a diet method. It's nothing to do with dieting. It's a lot to do with emotions. How do we heal our emotions? How do we untangle our unresolved emotional issues from eating when full? We have to separate those two, and we have to eliminate the eating when full completely, and we have to deal with the unresolved emotional issues in ways other than suppressing them, numbing them, distancing ourselves from them, running away from them. So what I really teach is people, I really teach people how to turn around and face their previously unresolved emotional issues rather than run away from them. It seems like, we've been brought up and conditioned to run away from the difficult stuff rather than turn around and face it and actually feel that we have any power over it or any ability to deal with it. And we deal with it through understanding what it's all about and employ healing techniques that can allow us to deal with that in ways other than suppressing it. When you suppress an emotional issue such as anger, fear, boredom, stress, uncomfortable memories, difficult memories, traumatic memories from the past, when we know how to deal with them, when they confront us, when they surface and we can face them, then we heal them. We heal them. They are dealt with. They are resolved. We feel, okay, I can face up to that. That is what happened, or that is how I'm feeling, or this is what I'm going through. And instead of running away from it or shoving it down out of fear, we turn around and we face it and we say, okay, well, how can I heal that? How can I resolve this? How can I find the solution to this? And we get intuitive hits, we get intuitive guidance, and we amass tools from teachers, lecturers, and authors that have been on the same path, from methods and ideas, for example, from the Alcoholics Anonymous group. If you find that as a result of giving up eating when full, you're turning to the alcohol, that would be a good accompanying therapy to do as well, to join AA. That's a very powerful, very effective way of giving up any addiction, especially drug addiction and alcoholism. With food, as I say, the ideas and concepts in my books, like Simply Full, and I've also got True Slimness as well, available on Amazon. That's TrueSlimness, True Slimness, and also Guidelines for Healing Your Eating Habit. And books by other authors, such as Dr. Cherie Martin, author of Naturally Slim. That's, I think, out of print at the moment, but you will be able to get secondhand copies on Amazon and on eBay, most likely. Also, there is Why Wait, A Guide to Ending Compulsive Eating, and that's by Janine Roth, an American lady, and she has a handful of other books on the subject as well. Very much in the same line as Susie Orbach's Fat is a Feminist Issue, and my 3 books, Simply Full, True Slimness, and Guidelines for Healing Your Eating Habit. So these ideas have been around. They're not mainstream by any means, but that's what the alternative field is all about. It's not mainstream yet, and that is fine. So there's plenty about it on the internet, and you can dive into the alternative to dieting. Like, as I said, in my experience, I had 5 years of dieting, and all it got me was more obsessed with food size and shape. It hadn't really pinpointed what actually was going on with my eating habits. It hadn't linked it to emotional stuff. And therefore, the problem was perpetuated. And I was also bulimic for 2 of those years. So the problem was perpetuated through dieting, in my experience. I can honestly say, hand on my heart, that was my experience. If dieting works for you, well and good, excellent. But I had to seek the alternative. I had to seek the alternative, and I found the answer in the alternative in a short 6 months. In 6 months of practicing the ideas of eating when hungry, stopping when full, pinpointing and resolving the emotional issues, and raising my self-acceptance. After 6 months of that, the bulimia cleared up, and the compulsive overeating cleared up, and I had a natural, healthy relationship to food. The obsession had gone. Was still a little bit of a chocoholic, did like my bar of chocolate every single day, and it did take me another year to conquer that, to realize, hey, what was that all about? I can do without chocolate. I can have it 2 or 3 times a week. I don't have to have it every single day. So another year, after a year, I had conquered that as well. So and that's 30 years ago. That's 30 years ago. So you're talking about 30 years of natural permanent slimness, and leading this life free from eating when full, which is, infinitely better. I've experienced both sides of the coin. I've experienced being a compulsive eater. I've experienced being obsessed with food size and shape. And I have experienced freedom from all of that. I have experienced being natural, healthy eater, eating when hungry, stopping when full, being able to pinpoint and resolve my emotional issues, and have high self-acceptance. And it is an infinitely better side of the coin to be free from compulsive eating. So that's what I teach in my one-to-one session. So I do hope you join me. You can contact me on Sophia, SOFIA 2227 at gmail.com. That's SOFIA 2227 at gmail.com to book a session on healing the eating habit. Okay, many thanks. Hopefully speak to you soon.